Joaquin Phoenix was the first choice to voice Buddy, aka Syndrome in The Incredibles, though he turned down the role. Jason Lee would be cast instead and did all of his work on the movie in only 4 days. For the opening scene on Omaha Beach in Saving Private Ryan, approximately 30 amputee actors were hired and given prosthetic limbs to act as soldiers who had had their arms and legs blown off. Robert De Niro portrays William Hale in Killers of the Flower Moon. At the time of the Osage murders, William Hale was 45 years old. At the time of production, Robert De Niro was 80 years old. Gary Oldman said he developed the voice of his character in The Fifth Element, John Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg, by combining the voices of presidential candidate Ross Perot and iconic Looney Tunes character Bugs Bunny. Christopher Nolan, along with his family, attended a screening of Oppenheimer on opening night in New York City, in order to see the reaction of the audience. The screening of Oppenheimer in the IMAX theatre had sold out. George Clooney revealed that both Mark Wahlberg and Johnny Depp were offered the role of Linus Caldwell in the 2001 remake of Ocean's 11. Both actors turned down the role, which led to Matt Damon being cast instead. According to the showrunners of Game of Thrones, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, AT&T, the parent company of HBO, wanted the series to be shot vertically so the series could be watched on people's phones. Director Zack Snyder has revealed that actor Tom Cruise was keen on playing the character Rorschach in the movie Watchmen. Snyder said that obviously Tom Cruise could have done the role, but Jackie Earle Haley had already been cast. Director Mel Gibson had initially intended to play the role of Sergeant Howell in the movie Hacksaw Ridge. Gibson bowed out of playing the role so he could focus on directing the movie instead. Vince Vaughn was later cast in this role. George Clooney has said that his cameo at the end of The Flash, reprising his role as Bruce Wayne from Batman and Robin, was a one-time deal. He also stated that there is not enough drugs in the world for him to return to the role. After winning the Academy Award for Best Picture for the movie Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan and Emma Thomas are set to be knighted by the King of England. The English filmmakers will receive the titles Sir Christopher Nolan and Dame Emma Thomas. Gary Oldman had originally been cast as General Thade in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes movie, but ended up dropping out of the project. He was later replaced by Tim Roth, who took the role in favour of Severus Snape in the Harry Potter movies. Before Tilda Swinton was cast as Madame D in the Grand Budapest Hotel, legendary actress Angela Lansbury was going to play the role. However, Lansbury was forced to drop out due to the conflicts with her stage performance of Driving Miss Daisy. Ridley Scott's movie Napoleon has been criticised for not being historically accurate. In response to this, Scott said, "When I have issues with historians, I ask, 'Excuse me, were you there? No? Well, shut the fuck up then.'" In the casting process for the Lord of the Rings movie, Peter Jackson's initial preference for the role of Bilbo Baggins was always Ian Holm. However, Jackson disclosed that the studio had proposed Anthony Hopkins for the same role. Dev Patel, director and star of Monkey Man, revealed that funding for the project was pulled just a few weeks before filming was set to begin. Patel had to beg the movie's investors to provide the funds in order to produce the film. Better Call Saul has set a record at the Emmys. Throughout its run of 6 seasons, running from 2015 to 2022, the show received 53 Emmy nominations and did not win a single one. Director Andy Muschietti has revealed that they cut 3 CGI cameos from The Flash, which included Marlon Brando as Jor-El, Linda Carter as Wonder Woman, and Cesar Romero as the Joker. Robert Downey Jr. stated on the Literally podcast that his role of Iron Man across multiple movies contains some of his greatest acting work, but he says it went unnoticed because of it being in the comic book movie genre. Harvey Keitel had originally been cast as Captain Willard in Apocalypse Now and had actually shot scenes for around 2 weeks. The director, Francis Ford Coppola, thought he wasn't right after those 2 weeks and replaced him with Martin Sheen. The 7th Mission Impossible movie had the subtitle Dead Reckoning Part 1. However, after the film didn't perform as well as the studio had hoped at the box office, Part 1 has been dropped from the title, and the 8th film will now have a different subtitle. Echo reportedly had a budget of $40 million, which is the lowest of any of the Marvel Studios Disney Plus shows that have been produced to date. She-Hulk Attorney at Law had the highest at $225 million. Glenn Powell has recently revealed that he had auditioned for the role of physicist Ernest Lawrence in Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer, but lost out to Josh Hartnett. Powell has said that he hopes to work with Christopher Nolan on another project in the near future, though. In the original casting plans for The Imitation Game, Leonardo DiCaprio was chosen to portray the brilliant British mathematician Alan Turing. However, Leonardo DiCaprio dropped out of the role and was replaced by Benedict Cumberbatch. The creators of the animated series What If have revealed that Marvel would not let them use any X-Men characters in their series. They will be allowed to use the characters in future seasons after the live-action debut of the X-Men in Deadpool 3, however. Jodie Foster had been offered the role of Princess Leia in the original Star Wars movie back in 1977. However, she wasn't able to take the role because of her commitments to shooting the Disney movie Freaky Friday. Prior to Mike Myers being cast in the iconic role of the Cat in the Hat, actor Tim Allen was originally chosen for the part. However, Allen was forced to withdraw from the project due to the scheduling conflicts stemming from his commitment to filming The Santa Claus 2. The opening scene of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom features a club named Club Obi-Wan. This is reference to the character Obi-Wan Kenobi from Star Wars. George Lucas wrote and directed Star Wars and wrote the story for the Indiana Jones films. The scenes in 28 Days Later that were shot on London's empty streets were filmed at dawn, with the crew asking people not to walk through the shots. The film had a small budget and was unable to shut down the areas of London that they wanted to shoot in. Takashi Yamazaki, the director of Godzilla Minus One, has expressed his desire to see the original cast reprise their roles in a potential sequel. The sequel, if directed by Yamazaki, would also feature Godzilla battling another kaiju monster. Director Bradley Cooper of A Star Is Born fame has disclosed that before Lady Gaga was chosen for the role, both Adele and Beyoncé were in consideration for it. In fact, Cooper initially met with Beyoncé to discuss the possibility of her playing the part. Before Florence Pugh was cast in Black Widow as Yelena Belova, the role was reportedly offered to actress Saoirse Ronan, but she turned it down. Ronan had also previously been approached to play Scarlet Witch in Avengers Age of Ultron. With Nicholas Hoult cast as Lex Luthor in the upcoming Superman Legacy, Jesse Eisenberg, who previously played the role in Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, was asked what advice would he give to Nicholas Hoult. Eisenberg stated, "Don't watch me." The infamous nipple suit from Batman and Robin was revealed to have been inspired by Roman Centurion armour by the film's costume designer, Jose Fernandez. He stated that it wasn't a fetish to me, it was more informed by Roman armour, like Centurions. For his role as the Joker in The Batman, Barry Keoghan revealed that he had to have a steel hook in his mouth to give the character the iconic Joker smile. Keoghan said he had some concerns that the steel hook would have left him permanently scarred. In the cancelled Marvel movie X-Force, that was set to be directed by Kick-Ass 2 director Jeff Wadlow, Ryan Reynolds was set to reprise his role of Deadpool. However, the character would have served as the movie's villain instead of being on the team of superheroes. The upcoming movie Alien Romulus was initially set to go direct to streaming services. However, the studio was very impressed with what they saw in the first few days of filming, to which they decided that the movie should go to theatres first instead. Austin Butler was initially set to screen test for the role of Rooster in Top Gun Maverick, but had to turn it down. Butler turned down the opportunity in order to star in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Miles Teller ended up being cast in the role instead. Before Dune Part 2's official release, the director Denis Villeneuve arranged a private screening of the film for a fan battling cancer. It is for people like this fan, Villeneuve remarked, that filmmakers strive to create meaningful cinematic experiences. For The Iron Giant, the studio Warner Brothers reportedly wanted to have John Travolta voice Dean and Arnold Schwarzenegger voicing Kent Mansley. However, Harry Connick Jr. ended up voicing Dean, and Christopher McDonald voiced Kent Mansley. Ted Hughes' book The Iron Man was the basis of the animated movie The Iron Giant, directed by Brad Bird. The studio changed the title to The Iron Giant for the movie because they did not want people to think it was related to the Marvel comic book character Iron Man. According to actor Jacob Elordi, director of Saltburn Emerald Fennell originally wanted Timothée Chalamet to play the lead role of Oliver in the film. It was at Elordi's suggestion that she cast Irish actor Barry Keoghan in the role instead. Rather than create a new Roar for Godzilla -1, the filmmakers chose to play the original roar from the 1954 movie over loudspeakers and record that, as it was considered to be the most iconic and recognisable roar of all. In Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven, Edward Norton, who was initially considered to play the character of Guy, expressed his interest in playing King Baldwin after reading the screenplay. Notably, King Baldwin's masked appearance led Norton to request that his performance remain uncredited. Godzilla had first appeared on the big screen in 1954, but it took 70 years and 38 movies for the IP to be nominated and win an Academy Award. Godzilla -1 won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. Actor Hiroyuki Sanada, who plays Lord Yoshi Toranaga in FX's miniseries Shogun, did not use a stunt double for the show. He did all the fighting, horse riding and stunt work himself, despite being 63 years old. Hiroyuki Sanada has revealed that he was really swinging a sword at Tom Cruise's neck whilst filming The Last Samurai. This was due to the insistence of Tom Cruise. Sanada stated, "I took full swing and then stopped, just touching his skin, but no injury. He never blinked." Oppenheimer got a release in Japan in 2024, having initially not received distribution in its release year in 2023. This was due to the subject matter being sensitive to the Japanese. On opening day in Japan, many IMAX screens across the country sold out. In between takes on The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews would sing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious to the children. At the time, Andrews had already shot Mary Poppins, but the film hadn't been released yet. The children on set thought that Julie Andrews had made up the song herself. Actors Jesse Plemons and Nick Offerman were only confirmed to star in the A24 movie Civil War after the trailer for the movie had dropped. Jesse Plemons had been rumoured to star in the movie, however the actor had denied reports that he featured in the film. Actor Raul Julia had been diagnosed with untreatable stomach cancer when he took the role of M. Bison in Street Fighter. Julia revealed that he took the role because his children were a big fan of the franchise and he wanted to appear in a movie that they would enjoy. During the production of Logan, 20th Century Fox desired the film to have a PG-13 rating. However, Hugh Jackman was willing to take a significant pay cut in order for the movie to secure an R rating instead. Director Matt Reeves said that the final scene in Arkham Asylum between Batman and the Riddler took around 70 to 80 takes to get right. The scene had to be filmed over a period of 2 days because of this. Joker Folie à Deux, sequel to 2019's Joker, had widely been reported to be a musical. The film's director, Todd Phillips, revealed at CinemaCon that the sequel doesn't veer too far away from the first film, but music is an essential part of the movie. Walton Goggins, who portrays Cooper Howard, aka The Ghoul, in the Fallout TV series on Amazon, stated that he didn't play the Fallout video games before taking on the role. This is because he didn't want the work he did on the character to be influenced by the ghouls that appeared in the game series. In her recent Actors on Actors interview, Carey Mulligan revealed that she auditioned for the role of Elizabeth Salander in David Fincher's adaptation of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Mulligan said she went all in for the audition and began chain smoking and even wore a nose ring. Director Denis Villeneuve has stated that he would only return for another installment of Dune, adapting the story from Dune Messiah, if he was able to make it better than Part 2. Villeneuve has completed the script for the project, but wants to work on a different movie before returning to the Dune franchise. Overwhelmed with emotion, Chris Evans' mother shed tears upon witnessing the scene in Avengers Endgame featuring an elderly version of Steve Rogers. The resemblance between her son and her father, enhanced by the prosthetic makeup, was striking and deeply evocative for her. Composer John Barry, best known for his work on the James Bond films, was originally hired to compose the score for the Pixar movie The Incredibles. Barry did record a few demo themes, but soon dropped out of the project. Barry was replaced by Michael Giacchino. Tatiana Maslany has said the second season of She-Hulk Attorney at Law is unlikely to happen. The budget for the first season, which consisted of 9 episodes, was reportedly $225 million. Maslany said, "I think we blew our budget and Disney was like, no thanks." It has been revealed that Robert Downey Jr. had auditioned for the role of Dr. Jonathan Crane, aka Scarecrow, in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins. Notably, he lost the role to Cillian Murphy. Both actors would go on to star in Nolan's most recent movie, Oppenheimer. It was reported that Oppenheimer, which was released on 4K Blu-ray after its theatrical release, sold out at online retailers like Amazon within a week due to the film's popularity. This was said to be an unprecedented occurrence, as online retailers typically do not run out of stock for films. Actress Sydney Sweeney was bitten by a huntsman spider on the set of Anyone But You. The spider was trained, however, she was instructed to move her arm in a way to get the spider to move. This agitated the spider and caused it to bite her. Sweeney's next project after Anyone But You was playing Spider-Woman in Madam Web. Initially offered the lead role of Maximus in Gladiator, Mel Gibson declined the role, citing his age as a factor. Antonio Banderas was also reportedly considered for the role too. Russell Crowe was later cast and subsequently won an Academy Award for Best Actor for his portrayal of the character. Peter and Bobby Farrelly, directors of Dumb and Dumber, had originally wanted to offer the lead roles of Harry and Lloyd to actors Nicolas Cage and Gary Oldman. Reportedly, representatives of the actors never let them see the offer. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels were offered the roles instead. The table read photo from Star Wars The Force Awakens featured the actors from the movie along with Mark Hamill. Hamill, despite having no lines in the film, attended the table read in order to not spoil his minor role in the movie. Hamill would read all script directions in order to have something to do during the table read. Robin Williams took a massive pay cut for the role of the genie in Aladdin. Williams reportedly earned around $75,000 instead of his contracted $8 million. Williams revealed that he took the pay cut as he really wanted to star in the movie, and he also wanted to leave something wonderful behind for his children. Brian Cox had originally been approached for a role in Game of Thrones, but turned it down due to the money being too low. Cox later revealed this is a decision he later regretted, as he loved how the show had turned out. The role Cox was approached for was that of King Robert Baratheon. Mark Addy was cast in the role instead. After winning the Academy Award Best Picture in 2024, Oppenheimer is now the third highest grossing Best Picture winner of all time. Titanic is the highest grossing Best Picture winner, having grossed $2.26 billion, and The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King is second, which grossed $1.1 billion. The original plan for She-Hulk Attorney at Law on Disney Plus was to not have Jennifer Walters transform into She-Hulk until episode 8 of the series. This was changed to the first episode. This led to the VFX team being rushed to complete their work, and many have criticised the show for having poor CGI. Frustrating and disappointing were the words that Patrick Stewart used to describe his experience filming his role as Professor Charles Xavier in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Due to the COVID restrictions, he had to film all his scenes alone, which prevented him from interacting with any other actors. The original cut of Dances with Wolves was reportedly over 5.5 hours long. In order to secure distribution, the film's length had to be significantly reduced. The studio wanted Kevin Costner to cut the film down to 2 hours and 20 minutes, but the final film has a runtime of 3 hours and 1 minute. Actor Christopher Plummer, who played J. Paul Getty in All the Money in the World, became the oldest actor to ever be nominated for an Academy Award. At the time of his nomination, Plummer was 88 years old. Plummer had also held the record for oldest winner in an acting category for his role in Beginners, which he won at 82 years old. Ennio Morricone used an unused track from John Carpenter's The Thing in Quentin Tarantino's movie The Hateful Eight. Morricone would go on to win the Academy Award for Best Score for his work on The Hateful Eight. Morricone became one of the oldest people to win an Academy Award at the age of 87. Ryan Gosling has said that the reason The Nice Guys did not get a sequel was because of the animated movie Angry Birds. Both movies were released on the same day back in 2016. However, Angry Birds was able to make $40 million on its opening weekend, whereas The Nice Guys only made $10 million. Gary Oldman was recently asked if it was true that he was originally approached to play Ra's al Ghul in Batman Begins. Oldman revealed he was approached to play the film's villain, but he recalled that it was for the Scarecrow role, which went to Cillian Murphy. Oldman rejected the offer to play the villain and asked to play Commissioner Gordon instead. Director Christopher Nolan has recently revealed that he thinks that The Dark Knight Rises is the most underrated movie he has made. Nolan states, "I think The Dark Knight Rises is an underrated movie. There are things in there that we did that are pretty subversive and pretty shocking. It's as close as I'll get to adapting A Tale of Two Cities." Ridley Scott was able to shoot Napoleon in only 61 days. Scott shot battle scenes using 11 cameras in order to shoot multiple perspectives in a single take. This meant that he had to do fewer takes for each shot. For non-action sequences, Scott tends to use between 3 and 6 cameras to cover multiple perspectives. Actor Dev Patel, who also made his directorial debut with the movie Monkey Man, was injured several times whilst he filmed scenes for the movie. Throughout production, Patel broke his hand, broke 2 of his toes, tore his shoulder, and got an eye infection. Notably, Patel broke his hand on the first day they were shooting fighting scenes. George Lucas had said that when developing Star Wars, the Jedi were heavily inspired by the samurai. Lucas had also been a huge fan of Akira Kurosawa movies and hoped to cast Yojimbo star Toshiro Mifune as Obi-Wan Kenobi. He reportedly turned down the role, and English actor Alec Guinness was offered the role instead. Godzilla Minus One has been a massive success, with fans now expecting a sequel, but the film's producer, Minami Ichikawa, has said they will not rush a sequel if they decide to make one, stating, "Good films are all about quality. We want great ideas, an excellent script, a talented director, and the right cast to work on it carefully." Rebecca Ferguson, who portrays Ilsa Faust in the Mission Impossible movies, revealed that the only reason her character wore an eye patch in the opening scene for Dead Reckoning is because she can't wink. Christopher McQuarrie requested she wear the eye patch because of this. Notably, snipers do wear eye patches if they struggle to close a single eye when looking through a scope. Elton John, who wrote songs for the first Lion King movie, is said to be very upset that he wasn't asked back to work on the live-action sequel, Mufasa the Lion King. According to someone close to John, the singer and songwriter is deeply hurt after being snubbed from working on Mufasa. Lin-Manuel Miranda is working on the movie, writing original songs instead. Francis Ford Coppola self-financed his upcoming movie Megalopolis, which has been a passion project for the director for many decades. The director said that there are so many people who, when they die, say, "I wish I had done that. When I die, I will say, I got to do that." Coppola was able to finance the $120 million project by selling a massive stake in his winery business. Actor Gary Oldman revealed that he agreed to star in The Fifth Element as John Baptiste Emmanuel Zorg without reading the script. He did this as a favour to director Luc Besson. Besson had helped Oldman secure financing for his directorial debut, Nil by Mouth. Oldman has said he is surprised at the character's reception and the film's cult classic status. Director Michael Mann has been trying to make a Ferrari biopic for almost 30 years. Mann was developing the movie in 1993 with Robert De Niro attached to star. Ferrari was going to be Mann's next movie after The Last of the Mohicans. Though at the time the movie fell through, Robert De Niro would go on to star in Mann's 1995 movie Heat. Dev Patel's directorial debut Monkey Man was initially set to go straight to streaming services. It was only after director Jordan Peele, best known for his movie Get Out, saw a cut of the movie that he pushed for it to have a cinematic release. Peele was able to join the movie as an executive producer, and the movie is being released across cinemas and is currently receiving rave reviews. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny underperformed at the box office and had a massive production budget due to extra costs with safety due to the pandemic. The film had a budget of just under $300 million and only grossed $384 million worldwide. Disney has said that the movie made a loss of around $130 million for the company. Christian Bale had originally been set to star as George W. Bush in the Oliver Stone biopic W. Bale reportedly dropped out of the project as too many prosthetics were used in order to transform him into the president. Josh Brolin ended up in the lead role instead. Notably, Bale would go on to star in Vice years later, playing Dick Cheney, who was vice president to George W. Bush. The script for Gone Girl called for Ben Affleck's character Nick Dunn to wear a Yankees cap when trying to avoid being recognised. Ben Affleck, a lifelong Red Sox fan, had refused to wear the cap. A back and forth between Affleck and the film's director David Fincher resulted in the scene being delayed. Affleck eventually compromised and wore a New York Mets cap instead. In the finale of the Marvel animated series X-Men 97, we get a look at a file that features details on the character Magneto, in which we see the character's aliases. We see the names Ian and Michael listed with the surnames blacked out. This is a reference to the two actors who played Magneto in the live-action X-Men movies, Ian McKellen and Michael Fassbender. In Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained, Italian actor Franco Nero makes a cameo appearance. Nero previously played a character named Django in the 1966 spaghetti western of the same name, directed by Sergio Corbucci. In Django Unchained, Django tells Nero's character that the D in Django is silent, to which Nero's character replies, "I know." In creating the voice of the Stephen Grant persona in Moon Knight, actor Oscar Isaac drew inspiration from Carl Pilkington, the star of An Idiot Abroad. Actor Vin Diesel voices the titular character in Brad Bird's animated movie The Iron Giant. Despite this, the giant only speaks 53 words throughout the film. When pitching Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes to the studio, the film's director, Wes Ball, stated that he wanted this movie to be apocalypto with apes. For the animated film The Incredibles, director Brad Bird said he chose Samuel L. Jackson to voice Frozone because he wanted the character to have the coolest voice. After winning an Emmy for his role in Succession, actor Kieran Culkin revealed he had yet to see the finale of the series as he forgot his login details to his Max account. Adam Wingard, director of Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, revealed that the scene where Godzilla sleeps in the Colosseum in Rome was inspired by his cat Mischief. Before Tony Shalhoub was cast as Detective Adrian Monk in the TV show Monk, actors Alfred Molina and Stanley Tucci were both considered for the titular role. Before Vin Diesel was cast as the voice of the Iron Giant, actors Sean Connery, James Earl Jones, Peter Cullen, and Frank Welker were all reportedly considered for the role. Pete Postlethwaite and Daniel Day-Lewis played father and son in the 1993 film In the Name of the Father. However, Postlethwaite is only 11 years older than Daniel Day-Lewis in real life. Among the movies in the legendary MonsterVerse series, Godzilla Kong: The New Empire has the lowest production budget, totaling at $135 million. John Cena's role in Barbie simply came about because he wanted to be in the film. Cena approached the film's director, Greta Gerwig, asking if he could have a role in the movie. He was cast as Mermaid Ken. Before it was confirmed that actress Caitlin Dever would play the character of Abby in the second season of The Last of Us, both Florence Pugh and Shannon Berry were reportedly considered for the role. Paul Giamatti stated that working on the Tim Burton movie Planet of the Apes was a dream come true. Giamatti said on the Happy Sad Confused podcast that if it had been it for me, I would have died happy. George Miller's upcoming movie Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, contains a 15-minute action sequence that used over 200 stunt people as well as taking 78 days to shoot. Amazon had asked Anne Hathaway to return for a sequel to The Idea of You, as the film was such a success for the streaming service. However, Anne Hathaway reportedly refused to return, stating that one is enough. Due to insurance reasons, Danielle Brawl and Chris Hemsworth were not permitted to drive real Formula One cars during the filming of Rush. Instead, they drove Formula 3 vehicles with F1 bodywork. Actor John Bernthal was only able to appear in episodes of The Bear because the cast and crew flew out to where he was located and shot scenes with the actor during his lunch breaks whilst he worked on another project. Phil Collins composed and performed the songs in Disney's animated movie Tarzan, but Phil Collins also recorded all of his songs in multiple languages, which included Spanish, French, German, and Italian. With a production budget of approximately $50 million, Alex Garland's new movie, Civil War, represents a significant milestone for the studio A24. This is the highest budget that the studio has allocated to an in-house production to date. George R.R. Martin and showrunners of HBO's Game of Thrones series have stated that they originally wanted to finish the story of the series with 3 feature films. However, HBO executives were against this, stating that they are called home box office and not away box office. According to Seth MacFarlane, Universal wanted to use a puppet instead of CGI when making the movie Ted, in order to save money on production. He also revealed that the studio pushed for the movie to have a PG-13 rating rather than having an R rating. Before Anthony Hopkins was cast as Jimmy in Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder had considered several other actors to voice the robot character. Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Liam Neeson, Morgan Freeman, and Anthony Daniels were all considered for the role. Within the Lord of the Rings trilogy, a massive ring prop was crafted specifically for use in creating forced perspective shots. Two notable shots are from the Fellowship of the Ring, when Frodo drops the ring on the snowy mountain, and in The Return of the King, when Smeagol and Deagol are fighting for the ring. Squid Game star Lee Jong-jae learned to speak English for his role in the Star Wars series The Acolyte. Lee Jong-jae said he is a lifelong Star Wars fan and stated that he took inspiration from the character Qui-Gon Jinn when playing Master Sol in the series. To prepare for their roles as a family in HBO's series The Last of Us, Pedro Pascal, Gabriel Luna, and Nico Parker took a holiday together. In the show, Pascal and Luna play brothers Joel and Tommy, and Parker played Sarah, Joel's daughter. The original screenplay for John Wick had the titular character be around the age of 75. The script described John Wick as a Clint Eastwood type. It was only after Keanu Reeves showed interest in the script that the role was rewritten to have John Wick as a younger character. In the film At Eternity's Gate, actor Willem Dafoe portrays the famous artist Vincent van Gogh, and was even nominated for an Academy Award. When the film was completed, Dafoe was 62 years old. In reality, Van Gogh died when he was only 37 years old. Actress Ella Purnell, who portrays one of the protagonists in the Fallout TV series, Lucy McLean, revealed that she played the video games in order to prepare her for her role in the show. However, she states she wasn't very good at the game and it annoyed her as she is quite competitive. In order to get into shape to play Superman, actor Christopher Reeve sought the help of Darth Vader actor David Prowse. Prowse had been a professional bodybuilder and weightlifter before he started acting. With Prowse's guidance, Reeve was able to put on 40 pounds of muscle. After watching Arnold Schwarzenegger's performance in Conan the Barbarian, in which the actor only spoke 24 lines of dialogue, James Cameron decided to give him fewer lines in The Terminator. In the latter film, Schwarzenegger only speaks 14 lines of dialogue. Actor J.K. Simmons, who voices the character Omni-Man in the animated series Invincible, has said he has no interest in playing the character live action despite the fans calling for it. Simmons says that he does not think the live action Omni-Man should be played by a 68-year-old actor. He did suggest he would like to see either Ryan Reynolds or Hugh Jackman take on the role in live action. During the court scene in The Dark Knight Rises, Tom Hardy's character Bane can be seen knitting. This was a reference to the character Madame Defarge from the Charles Dickens novel A Tale of Two Cities. The character in the book would knit whilst watching the public executions. Christopher Nolan said A Tale of Two Cities was a major influence on the story of The Dark Knight Rises. Actress Hannah Waddingham revealed that filming a scene in Game of Thrones left her with chronic claustrophobia. Waddingham portrays Septa Unella in the series. In the scene, the character is tortured by Cersei Lannister. The scene had Waddingham lying down having grape juice poured on her face for many takes over 10 hours. Waddingham has said filming the scene was the worst day of her life. Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell won their second Academy Award for the song What Was I Made For from the movie Barbie. With this win, Billie Eilish has become the youngest winner of 2 Academy Awards at the age of 22, with Phineas O'Connell becoming the second youngest dual winner at 26 years old. The siblings had previously won the Academy Award for Best Song for the James Bond movie No Time to Die. Before Josh Brolin was cast as Cable in Deadpool 2, Tim Miller, director of the first movie, wanted Kyle Chandler for the role. Reportedly, Reynolds was against the casting, and this led to the director Tim Miller leaving the project. Actors Stephen Lang and Ron Perlman were fan favourites to be cast in the role, and Pierce Brosnan was speculated to have the role when he posed in a photo with Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman before production was about to begin. On the set of Django Unchained, Leonardo DiCaprio accidentally smashed a glass during the scene, which cut his hand quite badly. Despite this, he continued the scene. The idea was incorporated into the final film, with DiCaprio suggesting that his character Calvin Candy would smear his blood on Broomhilda's face. Both Kerry Washington, who portrayed Broomhilda, and the film's director Quentin Tarantino both liked the idea. The romantic comedy Anyone But You, starring Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell, has now become the highest-grossing film adapted from the works of William Shakespeare. The film is loosely based on Much Ado About Nothing. Anyone But You overtook Baz Luhrmann's adaptation of Romeo and Juliet, which grossed $190 million at the global box office. Anyone But You currently has grossed $212 million. Actor Vinnie Jones has revealed that he was offered the chance to reprise the role of Juggernaut from X-Men: The Last Stand in the upcoming movie Deadpool and Wolverine. Jones, however, turned down the opportunity despite meeting the film's director, Sean Levy. Jones stated that the suit he had to wear to play Juggernaut was too much drama to put on both physically and mentally. A different version of Juggernaut featured in Deadpool 2 and was voiced by Ryan Reynolds. In the production of the X-Men film, screenwriter David Hayter encountered a proposal from the studio to transform the beloved character Wolverine from his iconic Canadian roots to an American identity. One suggestion floated was to have Wolverine hail from Alaska instead. Hayter, aware of fans' strong attachment to Wolverine's Canadian heritage, firmly asserted that any alteration to his origin would not be well received by the audience. Whilst promoting Dune Part 2, director Denis Villeneuve stated that movies have been corrupted by television. The director said the following: "I hate dialogue. Dialogue is for the theatre and the television. I don't remember movies for a good line. I remember movies for a strong image. I'm not interested in dialogue at all. Pure image and sound, that is cinema. But it is something not obvious when you watch movies today. Movies have been corrupted by television." Jason Momoa had originally auditioned for the role of Batman in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Momoa failed to get cast as Batman, but was called back by Zack Snyder for another role. Momoa assumed he was cast as the villain Lobo, stating he is one of the only characters strong enough to fight both Batman and Superman. To his surprise, Snyder cast Momoa as Aquaman instead. It is now believed that Jason Momoa will be cast as Lobo in James Gunn's reboot of the DC Universe. Director Zack Snyder has said he reckons more people saw Rebel Moon on Netflix than moviegoers who went to see Barbie at the cinema. Barbie was the highest-grossing movie in 2023, grossing $1.4 billion globally. Snyder says that Rebel Moon had around 80 to 90 million views, and assuming it was 2 people watching the film, it equates to 160 million views. If they all paid $10 for a ticket, then that would be $1.6 billion at the box office. On the set of The Great Escape, Donald Pleasence offered advice to the film's director, John Sturges. However, Sturges told Pleasence to keep his opinions to himself. Sturges was unaware that Pleasence had served in the Royal Air Force during World War II and was shot down and held as a prisoner of war. Another actor later informed Sturges of Pleasence's service history and experience as a POW. After learning this, Sturges requested Pleasence's advice and input on the film's historical accuracy. With the casting of Benedict Cumberbatch in Star Trek Into Darkness, many fans speculated that he would be playing the character Khan, who first featured in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. However, this was denied multiple times by Cumberbatch. The film's director, J.J. Abrams, and the stars Alice Eve and Carl Urban also denied this rumour, stating he was playing the character John Harrison. However, this was simply misdirection, and Benedict Cumberbatch was indeed playing Khan. Though for the first part of the movie, Cumberbatch's character uses the alias John Harrison. All the actors playing pirates on the crew of Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Man's Chest were created using motion capture and CGI, with the exception of Stellan Skarsgård's bootstrap Bill Turner. Skarsgård wanted to use full prosthetics in order to get into character. He stated, "I was the only one on set with real prosthetics on. Everyone else on that ship showed up 5 minutes before we started shooting and had dots put on, and away they went. I had been there for 6 hours, but the thing is, I like it. I like to see the artists paint, if that makes sense." Since the premiere of the Fallout TV series on Amazon Video, sales of the game Fallout 4, one of the games on which the series is based, have witnessed a notable surge in Europe, with a remarkable increase of 7,000%. In the movie Air, director Ben Affleck made a notable casting decision based on a specific request from basketball legend Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan explicitly requested that the role of his mother Dolores be played by the talented actress Viola Davis. Actor Gabriel Byrne acquired the rights for Jerry Conlon's book Proved Innocent to turn it into the film In the Name of the Father. Byrne had considered playing the part of Jerry Conlon, but he stepped aside and produced the film instead. Daniel Day-Lewis was cast in the lead role. In a surprising disclosure, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige revealed that the initial choice for Tony Stark in the Iron Man franchise was English actor Clive Owen. Owen was offered the role but declined it, citing lack of interest in the film. Two men sued the film company Universal because of the film Yesterday. The trailer features actress Ana de Armas, whose role was cut from the final film. After having rented the movie to find out the actress's scene had been cut, the two men took legal action for false advertising. Reportedly, Universal settled the case out of court. In Alex Garland's film Civil War, actor Jesse Plemons was not the original choice. At the last minute, the initial actor withdrew, and upon actress Kirsten Dunst's recommendation, Plemons stepped in to fill the role. It is worth noting that Plemons is married to actress Kirsten Dunst. Director Ridley Scott had revealed that he created a director's cut of his movie Napoleon, which had a runtime of over 4 hours. Scott had hoped Apple would release the version of the film after the theatrical release. However, Apple have now said that they have no plans to release this version of the movie. Director James Cameron stated Christopher Nolan should have been nominated for Best Director at the Oscars for the movie Inception. Cameron stated that I wish Christopher Nolan had gotten nominated for directing that film because I think that it's the most astounding piece of film creation and direction of that year, hands down. Godzilla Minus One only had 35 visual effects artists working on the film. The team included the film's director, Takashi Yamazaki, who is an experienced VFX artist. The film had 610 visual effects shots, and this was made on a budget of less than $15 million. Teyonah Parris, who played Maria Rambeau in The Marvels, revealed that the cameo at the end of the movie featuring Kelsey Grammer, reprising his role as Beast, was kept secret even from her. In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, Parris stated that the scene was shot with a different actor wearing a lab coat, and nothing in the script or during filming implied that the character was Beast from X-Men. Director Sergio Leone initially wanted Clint Eastwood to portray harmonica in the iconic spaghetti western movie Once Upon a Time in the West. Having previously worked together on the Dollars trilogy, Leone believed Eastwood was the perfect fit for the role. However, Eastwood declined the offer, signalling a shift in his career as he sought out new creative directions and collaborations. Ray Winstone, who played the villain Dreykov in Marvel's Black Widow, said working on the movie was soul-destroying. Winstone was told by producers to tone down his performance, and he even tried to quit the role when the film was required to do reshoots. However, his contractual obligations meant he couldn't leave the project and didn't want to end up in court over refusing to return to the role. Since its initial development in 2010, the remake of the 1980s television series The Fall Guy has undergone several casting changes for its lead role, Colt Seavers. Before Ryan Gosling was cast, numerous actors were considered for the role, including Tom Cruise, Dwayne Johnson, Nicolas Cage, Jason Statham, and Keanu Reeves. Christian Bale had initially been cast to play Enzo Ferrari in Michael Mann's biopic back in 2016. However, Bale dropped out, reportedly due to not being able to achieve the correct weight in time for production. Hugh Jackman was then attached to star, but eventually also dropped out of the movie. It took a few more years to go into production, and Adam Driver was cast as Enzo Ferrari in the end. Before Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, actor Josh Brolin was considered for the role. Brolin said that the role was interesting to him and he would consider doing the role someday. Brolin would later go on to play two characters for Marvel instead of a character for DC Comics. He played Cable in Deadpool 2 and Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. Anthony Hopkins became the oldest actor to win an Academy Award for his role in The Father. Hopkins was 83 years old when he won his second Academy Award, having previously won for The Silence of the Lambs from 1991. Christopher Plummer had previously held the spot for the oldest actor to win an Academy Award for his role in Beginners, winning at age 82. Frank Welker, who had originally voiced Megatron in the Transformers series, had hoped to voice the villain in Michael Bay's Transformers. Reportedly, Bay felt Welker's voice didn't fit the interpretation of the character in the film. Hugo Weaving was cast in the role instead. Welker did voice other characters in the movie, and eventually did voice Megatron in the later films directed by Michael Bay. During the production of A Quiet Place, director John Krasinski initially faced opposition from the studio when he insisted on casting a deaf actress for the role of Regan. However, he persisted and ultimately succeeded in casting Millicent Simmons in the role. Krasinski also took the initiative to ensure that the cast and crew learned sign language to facilitate effective communication with Millicent on set. Jamie Foxx was set to reprise his role of Electro in Spider-Man No Way Home after playing the character in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Foxx posted to Instagram that he would return to play the role, stating this version would not be blue. The picture he posted also seemingly confirmed Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's involvement in the movie. However, the post was quickly deleted from social media. In Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, George Lucas included a line between Anakin and General Grievous in which Anakin says, "You're shorter than I expected," implying that this is the first time the two characters have met. Because of this one line, when Dave Filoni was creating the animated series The Clone Wars, Anakin and Grievous could not meet in any of the show's 6 seasons. Oppenheimer was initially not going to be shown in Japan due to the atomic bomb being a sensitive topic in the country. However, Oppenheimer has now secured distribution in Japan for 2024. Bitter's End, the distribution company, said the film's subject matter is of great importance and holds special meaning for Japanese people, so we decided to release it in Japan after various discussions and considerations. Peter Cullen was best known for voicing Optimus Prime in the Transformers TV series from the 1980s, as well as many other incarnations of the character across multiple media. He was not Michael Bay's first choice to voice the character in the 2007 live-action Transformers film, however. Liam Neeson had been approached to voice the character, and even part of Optimus Prime's design was modelled after Liam Neeson. In the midst of producing Toy Story 2, a grave mishap occurred at Pixar Animation Studios. The animators, in an unfortunate turn of events, inadvertently deleted the nearly completed project, leaving 90% of their hard work seemingly lost. However, fate intervened when it was discovered that one of the animators had fortuitously backed up the film on their personal computer, saving Toy Story 2 from the brink of disaster. Whilst promoting Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the film's director, Wes Ball, said that it was criminal that none of the previous Planet of the Apes movies had ever won the Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. The previous films in the trilogy featuring Andy Serkis as Caesar had all been nominated but lost out to other films. Harrison Ford had only signed a 2-picture deal when making the Star Wars movies, and would have needed a new contract where he could have demanded more money to return for the next movie. For this reason, George Lucas had the character Han Solo frozen in carbonite to get rid of the character if Harrison Ford ended up not choosing to return. Arnold Schwarzenegger was initially in the running to play the lead role in RoboCop. Unfortunately, the costume made him appear bloated, and the crew likened him to the Michelin Man. The crew needed to find someone with a lean build who was also athletic to make the costume work. This led to Peter Weller being cast in the role instead. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was reportedly set to be a reboot of the Planet of the Apes franchise. However, after the first trailer, it was revealed that the film is a sequel to the trilogy of the films that starred Andy Serkis as Caesar. This movie takes place hundreds of years after the events of War for the Planet of the Apes. Actress Sharon Stone revealed that she had pitched a Barbie movie to the studios in the early 90s. However, she said that all the executives at the time laughed at her pitch. The Margot Robbie Barbie movie released in 2023 and was the highest-grossing movie of the year, making $1.4 billion at the global box office. In the movie Snatch, Brad Pitt's portrayal of the Irish traveller Mickey was inspired by a character from the sitcom Father Ted. Specifically, Pitt drew inspiration from the character Tom, played by Irish actor Pat Short. Pitt revealed that he based Mickey's voice on Tom's distinctive accent and manner of speaking. Clint Eastwood initially planned to retire from acting at age 78, with Gran Torino being his last role, but still intended to direct movies. Eastwood went on to star in Trouble with the Curve 4 years later, and would also star in 2 of the films he directed, The Mule in 2018 and Cry Macho in 2021. Director George Miller, who directed Mad Max Fury Road, recruited his wife, Margaret Sixel, to edit the movie. When asked why he chose her, Miller stated that if a man edited it, it would simply look like every other action movie we see. Sixel went on to win the Academy Award for Best Achievement in Film Editing for her work on the film. In a deal with Warner Brothers, Denis Villeneuve secured the opportunity to cast Anna Taylor-Joy as Aleia Atreides in Dune Part 2. This agreement was contingent on Villeneuve delivering the film on budget and on time, despite Taylor-Joy's scheduling conflicts due to her starring in the production of Furiosa at the same time. Shortly after the release of the first movie adaptation of The Cat in the Hat, producers began discussing the possibility of adapting The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. However, Audrey Geisel, the widow of Dr. Seuss, was so disappointed with the first film that she refused to allow any further live-action adaptations of her late husband's work. Hugh Jackman appeared as the character Wolverine 9 times and never wore the iconic yellow and blue costume from the comics till his 10th outing as the character in Deadpool and Wolverine. Jackman said, "From the moment I put it on here, I was like, How did we never do this? It looked so right, it felt so right. I was like, that's him. Actress Caitlin Dever originally auditioned for the role of Ellie in HBO's The Last of Us. However, she reportedly lost the role because the showrunners thought she was too old to play a 14-year-old girl. Bella Ramsey was cast as Ellie instead. However, Caitlin Dever has now been cast as the character Abby in the second season of the series. The upcoming movie Alien Romulus is set to connect both Ridley Scott's Alien and James Cameron's Aliens movie, as it takes place in between the two movies in the timeline. Director Fede Alvarez has also stated that both Scott and Cameron have seen Alien Romulus and proclaimed their love for the upcoming film. During the filming of Mrs. Doubtfire, actor Robin Williams improvised so extensively that the filmmakers have disclosed the possibility of creating 3 distinct versions of the movie: a PG-13 cut, an R-rated cut, and an NC-17 cut, each containing varying degrees of Williams's unscripted material. Tim Blake Nelson had been cast in an undisclosed role in Dune Part 2. Unfortunately, his role was cut from the final film. Tim Blake Nelson stated that, "I had a great time over there shooting it. Denis Villeneuve cut it because he thought the movie was too long. I am heartbroken over that, but there are no hard feelings." When the trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine dropped, many people thought Hugh Jackman used prosthetic arms in order to make his arms look more muscular. However, this was shot down by Deadpool comic creator Rob Liefeld. When visiting the set during production, Liefeld said that Hugh Jackman's arms are 100% real and confirmed it by feeling Jackman's muscles on set. Roland Emmerich's 1996 blockbuster Independence Day holds the record for the most miniatures used in a movie, with an estimated 1,000 models used in the film's special effects shots. The miniatures were used to create the illusion of large-scale destruction, such as the destruction of the White House and of the Eiffel Tower. Despite driving throughout the film, Anya Taylor-Joy does not actually have a driving license. She learned how to drive the cars during stunt training and preparation for her role in Furiosa. On her first day of training, she was required to do a J-turn. Despite doing plenty of driving throughout filming, Anya Taylor-Joy still hasn't passed her driving test. Director Christopher Nolan has recently stated that Robert Downey Jr.'s casting as Iron Man is one of the most consequential casting decisions that's ever been made in the history of movies. Nolan recently worked with Downey Jr. for the first time on the movie Oppenheimer, which saw Robert Downey Jr. win his first Academy Award. Alec Guinness was initially hesitant to play Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars because it was a science fiction film. However, he decided to read the script after hearing positive reviews of George Lucas's previous film, American Graffiti. Guinness thought the dialogue was terrible, but he was so captivated by the story that he kept on reading the script, and thus took the role. Director of Deadpool and Wolverine, Shawn Levy, revealed that he had initially been offered the chance to direct 2013's The Wolverine, but he turned it down as he was more interested in doing original films. However, Levy then deeply regretted the decision and was keen to direct Deadpool and Wolverine as soon as it was offered to him. In Chicken Run: Dawn of the Nugget, a character from another Aardman animation project has a cameo in the movie. Feathers McGraw, the penguin antagonist from Wallace and Gromit: The Wrong Trousers, can be seen towards the end of the movie with the other chickens. Feathers McGraw hides his identity with a rubber glove on his head, disguising himself as a chicken. Co-director of Uncharted 2 Among the Thieves, Bruce Straley, accused Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning of copying a scene from the video game. The scene in Uncharted 2 involves the protagonist climbing through a train that has derailed and is hanging from the side of a cliff. Uncharted 2 was released on PlayStation 3 in 2009. Director Zack Snyder revealed that he met with Leonardo DiCaprio to play the role of Lex Luthor in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Despite not being cast, DiCaprio suggested elements for the films that Zack Snyder would incorporate at a later date. One of these suggestions was seeing Superman fight the Justice League. This was included in the Justice League movie. Anya Taylor-Joy's character Furiosa only has around 30 lines of dialogue throughout the film's runtime. Tom Hardy only had 60 lines of dialogue in Mad Max Fury Road. The film's director, George Miller, has said that dialogue only slows down the pace of the movie, and he prefers the actors to convey their feelings through facial expressions and mannerisms instead.